Inspiration comes in many, many forms. Taking us back in time now to George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. Today we're going to talk about rewriting your script, just like he did. Let's go get that nugget. Welcome, ladies, to the Life Mastery for Women podcast. I'm Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind, your host. This is where we go to learn to master our life one nugget at a time. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you rewriting your script. If you're not rewriting your script, then it is my intention that in today's episode I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. So my third favorite movie, and actually this is my first favorite movie. They're all my favorite. Scrooge, Grinch, It's a Wonderful Life. I could watch them literally all day, every day, all the way up until Christmas. George Bailey. My brother, man, I tell you, we have so much in common. But when we're talking about George Bailey, from It's a Wonderful Life, he was a giver, sharing everything. He was very nice. He was all about doing the right thing. He was all about sharing himself with everyone. And he gave up his dream so he could work at the bank. The good old building and loan. And everything in him, what he wanted to do was to go build. He wanted to go and check out businesses and get an education and go to college and become smart and really immerse himself in the world. But as he saw people suffering around him, as his dad had a stroke and then his dad passed away, and they're like, we'll keep the building and loan, but you have to run it. He's like, oh crap, I'm not running it. I'm trying to go. My taxi's here. I'm going to college. And they're like, well, then they're going to shut it down. And Mr. Potter is going to take over the whole entire town of Bedford Falls. And he didn't want that to happen because Mr. Potter was a shark. He was just like, I'm going to build these big high rises, and if you can't pay, you're getting kicked out. You're going to you'll be on the street. Then there's like liquor stores and tattoo artists and well, you know what I want to say, but specific houses that are there and peep shows and girly stuff and all these things that just make the town not so lovely. And George didn't want that to happen, so he stayed. He's like, okay, I'll stay here for 4 years. Then my brother can come in and he can run it. Well, then the brother got married. And not only did he get married, but he accepted a job in New York with his wife's father. And so he's like, okay, I guess I don't want him to shut it down because I don't want Mr. Potter to take over everything and ruin Bedford Falls. So I'll stay. He made the most of it, taking care of everybody and really doing the very best he could until good old Uncle Billy made his $5,000 mistake. And he's thinking, oh man, our life is over. Like, if we don't find that money, we are going out of business and we're going to jail because they're going to think we stole this money from the bank. And stupid Uncle Billy lost the money, getting all wrapped up and hanging out with Mr. Potter and really causing havoc on the business. So he decides he's not having it. He's very angry. He goes home. He's yelling at the kids. He's yelling at the wife. He ends up sitting back as he's basically disrupted this Christmas Eve with the kids. They're singing, they're practicing, they're decorating the tree, they're baking cookies, they're hanging out. Mary's all sweet. The kids are all great. And he comes in and he just is so frustrated. He's like, I've given up my dream for all of these people. And I just am so miserable because I gave up my dream that I thought was going to make me happy. I gave it up for all these people. And now stupid Uncle Billy loses this money and one of us is going to jail. And I'm in the middle of these dire straits. So I get in my car and I drive to the bridge. And I am going to throw myself into these cold, choppy waters below and end my life because I am miserable. I am a burden. One of us is going to jail. I'm just going to end it all. We've been there. I've been there. I've been there a couple times. And I bet if you're still listening to this, you've been there too, or at least you can somehow relate to a very low moment that you've had in your life based on something that was going on outside of you. And another perspective shift is as he's standing there, and good old Clarence, the angel, comes down to save him. And what he does is he throws himself in the water. And George Bailey's like, what the flip? I was just going to do that. But instead, what he does is he dives in the water to rescue Clarence. Because that's what he does. He saves, he rescues, he makes things go smoother, he makes things go easier. But because he was so focused on him not having his dreams, the dream that he thought was his dream, he was so focused on him not having it, and became so focused on how miserable his life was because he didn't have the dream. He like made that story up. I don't have my dream, so I must have a miserable life. Because this is what I wanted to. I want to go to college. I want to build these buildings. I want to do this stuff. And I didn't get to do it, so now I'm miserable because I didn't get that. And that's all I can focus on. Even though he has a wonderful wife and wonderful kids and a wonderful business, and people respect him and they know him, and he's fun and he's friendly and he's loved, but he doesn't see that. So as over time, as he's meeting with Clarence, and Clarence goes, okay, you got your wish. You've never been born. He gets to have a chance to look at what is actually in his life that is so valuable. Because you know what he could have done? He could have said, hot damn, this is the best thing I could have gotten, and I'm going to be in my car, and I'm driving out to California, and I'm going to frickin' build my dreams. I'm going to go and get a job. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to build the dream that I thought I wanted. But what does he do? First, he kind of goes a little bit crazy because people don't know who he is. So the first value is, I'm not recognized. Nobody knows me. The people that I've given my life to, the people that I have given breaks to, where they could build their business, where they can build their houses and they can build their families. He was a part of all of that. There was value in that. So every single scene, he's recognizing there's value in the things that he did have. There's value in the friendships, the things, the decisions that I made as a business owner. I was able to give these loans to people because I trusted them, and they made a life for themselves. And he was able to see that. Then he goes, I'm going to go and find Mary. She's at the library. She doesn't recognize him because remember, his wish is, I've never been born. So he's not recognized by his own wife, who he then realizes in that moment how much he loves her. Then there's no wife, there's no kids. Then he goes, I'm going to go see my mom. She's of course going to recognize me, and she's freaking crazy. The dad's gone, Billy's in jail, and she doesn't know him. His own mom doesn't recognize him. In that moment, all of the things that he values comes to a screeching halt. He has no idea what he's going to do. But the dream that he held so close, he didn't just run off and get in his car and go create that dream. He now wanted the life back that he had, that he was neglecting. So he says, Clarence, I want my life back. I want my life back. He goes back to the bridge. Clarence, in tears, gives me chills. Clarence, give me my life back. I want my life back. And then here comes Ernie, pulls up in his police car, and he's like, no, Ernie, I'm going to punch you in the lip again. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, everybody's at the house waiting for you, George. And he's like, George, you know me? You know me? And he freaking jumps into his arms and he's like, okay, let's go. And then as he's standing in his living room, the whole entire community, all of Bedford Falls, shows up in that living room giving money back to the bank because they knew something happened, but they know George is not crooked. He didn't steal that money, but he's in trouble. Here's money. He helped me get my business. He helped me buy my house. He helped me build my family because I was able to get a house. I was able to get married and have kids and raise kids in a nice, safe environment. And he was able to stop Mr. Potter. So I'm able to have this life that I want because of George Bailey. He helped me get my dream. So of course I will give back to him. And in that moment, as he stands back and he realizes, I did have a wonderful life. I just didn't recognize it. I did have this peace and love and joy and friendship, and I created value in this tiny little town. I thought I had this dream over here, and because I didn't go and get that dream, that this couldn't possibly be my dream, so I can't even look at it, that I resent the building and loan. I resent Billy, Uncle Billy, for losing that money. But if Uncle Billy didn't lose that money, George Bailey never would have realized his perspective. He never would have gotten to that place to be like, I do have a wonderful life. I'm looking in the wrong direction. I don't even know if I would have even liked that. I don't even know if I would have liked building that or going to college or building those buildings. I don't even know. But now I know, because the thing was taken away from me. So as we step back and reflect on this story, and you can sit back, if you're in a place of your life is miserable, if you're in a place of that, or if it's just mediocre and you want things to change, step back and reflect on your own story as if you're standing on the bridge and going, I want my life, my whole entire life to be different. As if you're standing on the bridge, I want you to reflect about your story. Just like in the last episode, we talked about Ebenezer, the bah humbug to bliss, the Scrooge shift, is looking at our story, getting a chance to look back at the past. What is my story? What are the things that I'm despising? What are the things that I don't like? What are the things that need to change? Who is in my life that I don't want to be in my life? Or who are the things that aren't in my life that I want them to be? Or what needs to change? What needs to shift? So just looking at, taking a moment and just reflecting. Reflect on your life. Then think about the words that you use the most when you talk about your life. Do you say words like, I'm so miserable in this life? Do you say, I hate this or that? Do you say, I'm so angry that this thing or that thing is happening? Do you say words like that? Because remember how our intention goes. Words are energy. You are throwing those words out into the world. If you're not using words like peace and harmony, you're not creating peace and harmony. If you're using words like misery and anger, you're creating misery and anger. So reflect on the story and then reflect on the words you're using to tell your story. And then the beginning of the shift is creating a new vision for yourself. Now, this is magic. I want you to really pay attention here. When I create a new vision for myself, I can't use the same words I'm using in the current present moment to describe my new vision if I want something to change. If I'm miserable, I can't take the word miserable with me to create a new vision. Do you understand that? It's not going to work. So if I go out into the future and I create a new vision for myself, and it's new and it's beautiful and it's peaceful and it's great and it's rich with vibrancy and connection, I'm not going to use the word miserable. Like, that doesn't go with it. I'm going to bring in words that create that picture, that image, that vision. And if I can start shifting my words and in that future way and bringing those words into the present moment, then I begin to shift my life. Meaning, so instead of saying miserable, I'm like, I want to change this thing. So it's kind of a future word. I want to change this thing. And then saying, I'm creating more peace and joy in my life right now. That's a present tense. I'm creating is present. That's current. I'm creating more peace and joy in my life. I'm creating more deeper, meaningful connections with the people that are in my life. I am allowing more abundance and prosperity to flow. I'm allowing myself to get in the flow. And I'm using those present words, present tense words. Because when I'm miserable, I'm using present tense words to create the scene, the reflection that the universe is reflecting back to me. Oh, you want misery in that category? Okay, here you go. Oh, you want joy and happiness in this category? Okay, here you go. I'll give you joy and happiness in this category. Because the energy works in its categories. So if I say things like I hate traffic, hate doesn't go across all of categories. Thankfully, it's only in that. I hate traffic. I hate cars. I hate stop signs. I have no patience. I really hate driving with all these people. But over here, if I'm in love and abundance with my partner, well, thankfully, my hate of traffic doesn't overflow into my relationship with my partner. Sweet, huh? But now I need to clean up that category if you want it to change. So I'm going to use like those future words to bring in new emotional states in that term. I'm going to bring in that category, I want to talk about it differently. That's where the work comes. We have to talk about things differently. And as we begin to use the reflection of our story, and we begin to shift our energy and our thoughts and our words, changing our script to point to a new vision, that's when the magic happens. That's when your world shifts. That's when you go from this miserable life to it's a wonderful life. Now, Zuzu is my favorite character, so I just want to say this at the very end. When he bumps into the tree and the bell rings, and he goes, "Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings." And he goes, "That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence." I just want to end with that. So go ring your bell. Go give all of your angels and all of your guides their wings so they can come to support you in this new endeavor of changing your story, rewriting your script, and building your wonderful life. Hey, thanks for listening. Your support means the world to me, and I'm truly grateful to have you on this journey of personal growth and exploration. If you've ever felt motivated or uplifted or gained valuable insight from my podcast, you now have an opportunity to show your appreciation. If you'd like to buy me a coffee or a chai tea as a token of support, you can do so through the link in the podcast show notes. Remember, your support goes beyond just a chai tea. It fuels my passion and drive to continue growing with you, making the world a better place and elevating all of humanity one episode at a time. Thank you again for being a valued listener.